I suppose the inception of the college is it's unusual in a sense, and it's paradoxical because it was founded, it was ill-begot really by the British government in order to obviate possibility of revolution, because after the French Revolution in 1789 they were worried after the French Revolution that guys would be coming back from the continent, because you couldn't be trained at home after the Battle of Kinsale because Reformation, no Catholic clergy trained in Ireland anymore, they had to go abroad. So after the French Revolution they started coming back with these revolutionary notions. So the British government reckoned it was much better to train guys at home and allow them to be Catholics and allow them to have their own clergy in a place we could keep an eye on them.
And the British administration here didn't like the idea of young men coming back from the continent with all these ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity. And as attitudes were changing anyway, there was a trustee of bishops, and they were given permission through an act of parliament to establish a college in Ireland, a seminary in Ireland. And there was one condition, that it couldn't be in Dublin.
So they decided on a place which was, well, reasonably far away enough from Dublin to be quiet and easily controllable, where the Duke was favourably disposed to the Crown, the Duke of Leinster. So Maynooth was settled upon, and it probably became the biggest and one of the most important seminaries in the whole of the Catholic world.
My name is Robert Smith. I'm a seminarian here in St Patrick's College at the moment, studying philosophy in the neighbouring National University of Ireland in Maynooth, and I'm on the way and the journey to becoming a priest.
Philosophy is the oldest department in the university. The first professor was appointed in 1795, and down to my predecessor, Professor Tom Kelly, all of the heads of department or deans of the Faculty of Philosophy, as they were then, were all clergy, Catholic clergy. And I suppose you could say that up until comparatively recently anyhow, maybe the last 10 years, clerics would have made up the majority of students in the Department of Philosophy.
Well, I was born in East Germany, and so I grew up in East Germany, close to Dresden, and was 13 when the wall came down in '89. So basically my childhood and my early adolescence was still impacted by East Germany, and then it was a reunited Germany from the early 90s onwards. And I think what's interesting with regard to Maynooth is that East Germany is seen as one of the most atheist places in the world. So I basically have no background in a religion at all, and I always found it interesting as a phenomenon, but it had no impact whatsoever on everyday life. So then coming to Ireland and see how huge the impact of religion here still is, and how important it is for people to discuss religion was quite amazing actually. you would have that with many people here, and that was a dominant position in East Germany as well, that religion is something which is outdated, of the past, it has no grounding in experience, and from Enlightenment onwards we should just learn that religion is something that is, I don't know, infused by superstition and so on, and just move on to a non-religious approach to life, which is it's a very limited approach to human existence and human reality, I think. If you argue, it's basically the idea that you argue from a scientific point of view that religious truth cannot be proven, therefore they must be false. If you want to sum it up like that. And I think it took me a while to realize how limited that actually is.
Here to the college in 2012, and prior to that I had worked as a management consultant with a company called Accenture for just over 6 years, and I had come to Accenture from having done a degree in Trinity College in management science and information systems studies. So if you had have told 18-year-old me in first year MSIS, as we call it in Trinity, that I was going to be studying to become a priest 7 years later, I would have told you that you needed your head examined. It wasn't an idea that was particularly strong in my mind. You know, it was very clear to me. I was in school, as a student, I should try to do the best that I can as a student. It was very clear to me at the end of my time in Trinity College that one tries to get a very good job having got a good degree, and I did that. I mean, the Accenture was a great company to work for, and that was a very logical thing for me to do. But after I got into Accenture, I was very happy, but there was something deeper in me that wasn't fulfilled. There was a question that I needed to answer for myself, which is essentially, what is the meaning of life? What's the point of it all? Why am I here? And that's a question that irked me. To cut a long story short, I did a lot of reading. I found myself back at Mass during the week. I began to read about the Eucharist, and we sit in the church here in Maynooth, the altar to my right. The tabernacle above that contains the Eucharist, which I firmly believe is God present here among us. That is Jesus Christ, who died for me and for you because he loves us and he wants to redeem us. And that's a reality that changed my life, and I became very convinced that I was being called to do something else, and a certain restlessness just developed within me. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm being called to be a priest. And I wish that feeling would go away. And I waited, and for years I tried to put it out of my mind, and I kind of got back to it, and I went back to work and I got a promotion, and I said, right, I'm off I go again now. But that niggling feeling wouldn't go away. And eventually I had to be honest with myself, and I say, I cannot keep living my life saying, what if I try it? What if I try it? And so I decided to put myself into God's hands, and I made the jump. I left my job in Accenture, and I took a risk-averse strategy. I took a sabbatical leave, so I'm on sabbatical leave from my job in Accenture to come here. So I have the freedom to go back to my job if that is what I discern to be correct. But I'm trying to discern God's will for me, and so far, nearly 2 years into it now, I'm more and more sure that God is calling me to become a priest.
Well, I went to the Christian Father School in Oma, grammar school there. I'm from Strabane, so I went up and down the bus 20 mile a day. But for A levels I did Irish, Latin and French, and I was going to go to university, and so I was wondering what to do, and I was thinking about maybe seeing what the priesthood was like. And I went to the Bishop Edward Daly at the time, famous guy, and he was in Bloody Sunday. Edward Daly, he was the guy, the white hanky guy. And I remember him asking me, where would you like to go? I said, well, it's like Irish music. And he said, I think you'd be good to go to Maynooth rather than to go to Queen's, University of Belfast. So he sent me down here, and I went down here, and I did Irish, Latin, sociology and philosophy first arts. And then I just did philosophy, single honours degree the next 2 years. But I left the clerics in my second year. I realised it wasn't for me, and but I continued on doing philosophy. And ever since doing philosophy, I remember at the time talking to the deans at the time, was actually quite good, one of the deans at the time. In some respects, I said, I just need a few weeks, months to be sure about this, you know what I mean? And the more I thought about it, the more I realised it definitely wasn't for me. I knew it definitely wasn't for me. It was for other people, but it definitely wasn't for me. And I wrote to the bishop and thanked him for, I said, sorry for letting you down, disappointing you, and that kind of stuff. And I genuinely was, but it just wasn't for me. And I think, I can't remember, I think he may well have wrote back to me and said he appreciated it was my decision and for letting him know, like, you know. So, but it was a real decision to leave, as opposed to going in was more of a decision to leave than it really was to go in. So I genuinely was, yes, no, it wasn't for me. I realised it wasn't for me.